Okay, so today I am making a banana bread. And so this is a gluten-free banana bread. And I just thought I'd show you some of the steps of how I do it. It was just off the fly. So I had some really beautifully ripe bananas here, and I'm going to be mushing them up. I've got 4 of them. And so with ripe bananas, we always try to use them for something in cooking. Bananas are a really good source of potassium and fibre, and a whole lot of different minerals in there too. So you've got some manganese in bananas, which is fantastic. You've got fibre too, and really, really good compact forms of fibre that help the body to break down things that you don't need, like toxins and stuff like that. So they are a really good source of that. And also just a really lovely source of electrolytes anyway. So just, you know, things that you need for your muscles, a little bit of that magnesium in there. Some phosphorus, so all sorts of wonderful things. So these bananas smell amazing. They've got that lovely natural sweetness to them. So I've just popped them in a bowl. Now you'll see that my bowl looks a little bit powdery, and the reason for that is that I've just ground a whole lot of cinnamon, because obviously cinnamon is an essential ingredient for banana bread. Now that noise behind me is my cats have just come inside and they're very excited. So they're doing some zoomies. All right, so we are crushing these bananas with a fork, and you can see they mash really easily because they are so ripe. And so I'm just doing them really roughly. I don't want it to be really, really mush to the point where they're like a liquid. I want them to have a bit of a paste to them and a bit of a kind of consistency where you're going to get chunks of that through the bread. Okay, and you can see that that's kind of, you've released some of the sugars in the banana there, and it's also making it more pliable when we make our mixture. Okay, now to that I'm going to add 100 grams of butter. There's a fair bit of butter goes in there, but butter is what makes it so decadent and rich. And we're going to mix that and combine that with our banana. So I've just softened that butter, not melted it completely, but softened it so that it mixes through. You can leave it at room temperature, or you can do that on a like in a microwave for a couple of seconds. However you want to soften your butter is fine. And so that's all mixing up beautifully into like a rough chunky paste is kind of how I would describe that. And then what I'm going to add to that is some cinnamon. I want the flavour of the cinnamon powder, so I'm doing about a teaspoon going through that banana and through that butter. And so that's going to give it a really nice taste. Mixing. Now to this one, I'm not adding any extra sugar. Now I don't like my banana bread really sweet, so we don't need extra sugar. I find, when you go out to a cafe or something, sometimes their banana breads are way too sweet for me. I like a really rustic, really nice banana bread. But in place of where the sugar would go, I'm adding in some psyllium husk. So psyllium will give it more of a bounce, and it will also add some fibre. So I'm adding about half a cup of psyllium to the mix, and psyllium will expand when we add the milk into the banana bread as well, and it will allow it to form, a kind of gel because it is a soluble fibre. So really good for gut health and really helps bring out the flavour of that banana as well. Now I've also got some ground walnuts. Now my children don't like walnuts in banana bread, chunks of walnuts. So I grind them up, and then that hides the walnuts. But I love the flavour of them in banana bread, so don't tell them. If they know, they won't eat it. But I always make it like this, and they do not know, and they eat it. So yes, that is a bit of a tricky mum thing to do, but they'll get over it, they'll survive. All right. So we're getting all our kind of powders, our nuts and our psyllium and our banana and our butter and our cinnamon in there. And now we're going to add our flour. So I'm making a gluten-free banana bread today, so I'm using this gluten-free flour blend. I've used so many gluten-free flour blends that I have to say that the Woolworths one is the best. It's changed over the years, but it is the best. So I'm doing 2 cups of flour to that. 2 cups. is enough. And you're not going to have, this will make it quite dry, but you're not going to have any problems adding that much in. Now I've just realised that I need an egg and I forgot to get an egg. So I'm just going to duck into the pantry and grab an egg. Now, an egg in there we are going to use. Okay, my chooks have laid eggs, so I'm going to put 2 in just because I can, and it will help to bind the banana bread. Okay, so we've got 2 fresh eggs. Pop those in. I always crack them in the bowl first because they are our chooks eggs and they will go straight into that. All right, of course, yes, we need our eggs. All right. And now we're going to keep mixing that through and just combine all of those ingredients together. All right, you'll see that beautiful yolk mixing into that mixture, and we're going to add our baking risers in a minute. So our baking powder and our bicarb will go in together, and then we'll slowly add a bit of milk until our consistency is right. All right, so that is coming together beautifully, really, really nice, really, really doughy, which is good. For the banana bread that I'm making today, we do need it to be a little bit more kind of like a cake mix because it is gluten-free. It will rise like a bread though once I put it through, and it will taste like banana bread, which is the whole goal of doing it this way. All right, so that's mixing beautifully. All right, and then we're going to pop our bicarb in. So bicarb, we're going to literally just add a half a teaspoon of bicarb, and we're going to do 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, which contains a little bit more bicarb, but it's enough to kind of get it to rise, and we really want to blend that in to our mix. Now I'm not using any stand mixers for this. I'm simply hand mixing because I want it to be rustic. I don't want it to be really, really smooth. I want it to have that kind of fibrous colour to it, those chunks of banana, that moist kind of texture to it, that smell of that cinnamon and that banana coming together with that nutty flavour. It's all about kind of the rusticness of a big thick piece of banana bread, I think. All right, so now we're just going to add a small amount of milk. Now milk is a bit subjective with banana bread because it depends on the texture. So roughly it's going to be about 3/4 cup, roughly, but it does always depend on, you know, a few things. All right, so we're going to just tip some in. That's probably about 1/4 cup there, and we're just going to see what happens to our consistency, and if it's enough, it's enough. If it's not, we're going to add some more. And so the milk would just help to blend in those flavours and moisten it a bit as well, but also it's going to give it a little bit of that support, that structure and that taste. Yep, I actually think that that's enough. So that ended up being about 1/2 cup of milk in that blend today. And remember, you've already put 100 grams of butter in that banana bread. All right. Oh, that smells so good. All right. So that is blended well together. That is all sitting really well as a mixture together. There's no, nothing's been not incorporated into that mix. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that into a loaf pan, and we're going to bake that in an oven. And I'll do that tonight when we do dinner, when we're doing my son's cooking dinner tonight. He's doing burger fries, homemade burger fries. So I will put that in while that's cooking, and it will take about an hour on about 180. It's a long process, but a really well worth one. All right, I'll show you the end product when it's done. So this is in the loaf tin, and so this will bake for that hour at 180 in the oven. And so it's going to rise quite a bit, and I'll show you what it looks like when it is done. All right, so the bread that we've made yesterday was sitting now overnight and it is ready. So what I'm going to be doing with this is making a French onion, not French onion, what's it called? French toast? Yeah, French toast. Ignore me, it's early, I haven't had coffee yet. All right, so I'm cutting my banana bread into thick slabs. So that is the kind of look of it. So it's quite moist. It's really, really nice crust around the edge. So that was an hour on 180 after our recipe yesterday. All right, so I'm going to be adding some milk into the bowl. And just like measurement wise, I don't really measure, but I'd be doing probably roughly around a cup. And then I'm going to be putting 2 eggs into that. And then that will be our whisking mix. And then I'm just going to whisk that up. And so French toast is kind of like a sweet but crunchy, lots of protein, yummy breakfast to have. So mix, 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 mix. We want that kind of incorporated really well. And we're going to have some cinnamon and sugar to sprinkle on our banana bread. And so I don't add sugar to the recipe, as you would have seen through the process. So the natural caramelization of the banana will come through as well. And we only add a little bit of a sprinkle of sugar and cinnamon just to give it that really hearty, wintry taste. And it just really gives it that richness that we're looking for. All right, so that looks well incorporated now. We're going to turn on our pan. We're going to melt some butter. So I've got a fair bit of butter in there, so probably about 50 grams of butter. And I'm just going to let that melt. And then what we're going to do is soak our breads in the egg and the milk mixture. Because this is such a kind of dense loaf, because it's got, you know, not a huge amount of liquid in there, it actually does really well as a French toast. And so that's going to fry up. You know, watch our heat there. We don't want it getting too hot in that butter. So we make sure we've got that melted, but we turn that down. But we do want to get that crispy layer. So this is really nice as a like a brunchy breakfast. You know, if you want something rich without it being too unhealthy, because a lot of the kind of French toast or the banana breads that you get at the cafe can be very sweet, like way too much sugar gets put in. I mean, this is on the decadent side, but it's definitely a healthier version of that. So you're getting a lot more of that flavour. Okay. And this mixture will be used as well. I'm making enough for Matt and I, but this mixture will be used for my boys when they come in. So my eldest requested French toast. He'll have just normal bread. He's not celiac or anything, so he can have normal bread, and he's not privy to banana bread like I am. Okay. So that's just frying there. And we can see that getting a bit of a bubble to it. So I am now going to put these French toasts that have caramelized beautifully. If you look at that, how delicious does that look? And they're going to go on their plates, and they're going to be drizzled with a little bit of cinnamon sugar. And I like to put a little bit of this chocolate protein peanut butter in there as well, just for a bit of naughtiness. Okay, and so our cinnamon sugar just gets sprinkled over the top like that. I mean, it's not much, but it just adds to the decadence. And then some of this chocolate peanut butter, which is, you know, high protein, but it goes really well with the banana. I'm just going to spread some on each piece. You can use plain peanut butter or any nut butters. Almond butter's really nice on it. But yeah, it's Saturday morning's done right with a little bit of decadence. a little bit of flavour. Okay, thanks for watching banana bread.